Well, hello, I'm Steve Nichols. I'm going to be your professor for Political Science 100. And I wanted to just make a quick video, well, maybe not that quick, to kind of take you through the class, the Canvas page, and the syllabus in particular, and to kind of give you a sense of how the class is going to run. So I'm at the student view of the Canvas page, the home page, and down here you can see something pretty important, and that is a link to information about the textbook, which you're going to need to get. And the textbook is The Logic of American Politics by Cornell and several other authors. It's the 10th edition. Obviously there are earlier editions, and now I believe there's even a later edition, but please use the 10th edition. That's the one that aligns with the lectures, and this one that I'm working off of. I've included links here, and I will double check before I send this out and make sure these links are still working, and if they're not, I'll put in different ones. Links to various online booksellers where you can buy the text. It's available in a variety of formats: electronic formats, hard copy, paperback, and so I think there are probably pretty economical ways to get the book, but please do get the book. It's a really outstanding textbook. I use it for a reason. It's not your typical run-of-the-mill, boring American politics textbook. It's really good. So there's that. And let's see what else. If we go to the modules section in the Canvas page, you'll see the usual stuff that you'll see. Most of what you see here are the units of the class. So we have the first unit, the Logic of American Politics, the Constitution, Federalism, and here's where you'll go to get all the material for the class that you'll need, aside from the text. So the lectures that you're going to watch are all here, labeled appropriately. The additional readings that we're going to do, there'll be a reading for each section of the class. So there's the textbook chapter, plus an additional reading, an article, usually about something current in American politics that connects to what we're talking about. Those articles are all here. And then there's a discussion forum for each section of the class. Not each unit, each chapter. So you notice in here, this first unit, it's sort of the theoretical stuff. In this unit are the topics of the logic of American politics, the framework from which we'll use in this class. And then the textbook chapter on the Constitution, federalism, and I would also mention here that sometimes for longer lectures, I broke them into two parts. That's really just because I needed a break from talking, and you probably will need a break from watching. So sometimes there'll be multiple parts for a lecture, sometimes just one. And then also here are the discussion forums. So I'll talk about the discussion forums when we get to reviewing the syllabus, but this is where they are. So the second unit is about civil liberties and civil rights. Likewise, same stuff, readings, discussion forums, and there better be lectures there. I'll go back and put those there, and so on. So this is where you'll go to get all the material, the lectures and the reading for the class. The assignments section is over here, and this is where you will take the exams. And I'll talk about the format of the exams later, but this is where they are. And you can also see you'll get a form participation grade here. And then, of course, there's your grades and the course evaluations. So let's get to the syllabus. That's really the main thing I want to cover in this video. So the syllabus is here. You can download it or open it up right there. And so here I state the course objectives. It's basically taking a big look at the American political system. And we have course learnings, course objectives. Once again, here is the textbook, The Logic of American Politics by Cornell et al. As far as the pace of the class, so this is winter session. It's going to go pretty fast. It's only a few weeks long, and yet we're doing covering the same amount of material as in a regular semester. So please be sure that you really have the time to devote to taking this class. It does take some time. There's really no way around that. I mean, if you try and do it without putting in the time, it won't go well. You may well not pass the class. And I know you're paying extra money to take this class. It would be a shame not to pass. So please be sure that you have the time. The course is entirely online and asynchronous. There's not going to be any real-time interaction between us. I'm not going to be Zooming for office hours. It'll all be handled online. But it is not self-paced. There is a schedule, and we're going to follow that schedule. We will consider topics on the days in which the syllabus shows, and then we're going to move on. So you can't really get behind and catch up. You got to stay on things as we go. For every topic that we cover, there will be a video lecture to watch, as I mentioned, sometimes two. There will be a textbook chapter to read, and there will be an additional article to read and a forum discussion. And the lectures are going to be up and available to you throughout the term, but the discussion forums are open for your input only while we're talking about that topic. In other words, if you're assigned to a discussion forum, and I'll talk about that in a second, you can't blow it off and then realize that a week later and then go back and participate in the forum. That forum will be done. I'm going to leave them up so you can see when you prepare for the exams the conversation that happened there. But once we've moved on to the next topic, that previous forum discussion is done. You can't go back and retroactively participate in it. And then exams, of course, you have to take them during the regular time, the scheduled time. As far as grading goes, basically your grade in this class is going to be based on 3 exams, 2 midterms and a final, and your online forum participation. And that'll be a total of 400 points distributed as follows, 100 points for each of those things, and your grade will be based on the percentage of those points that you earned. And you can see there the breakdown between A and B and C and so on. Hopefully nobody's over on this side. Hopefully everybody's over here. The readings and the lectures and the online discussions, they all sort of reinforce and complement each other. You really need to do all of them and show me you did all of them on the exam. You can't do well on the exams simply repeating back the video lectures. I'm going to look for incorporating material from the textbook and from the additional readings. An A answer on an exam has to have all of that. I can immediately spot an answer that was based solely on what I talked about in the video and nothing else. And that's not going to be graded well on exams. So let's talk about the exam format. They will all be essays, and you'll have all the questions in advance. In the announcements, which I'll go back, hopefully I'll remember to do that, go back and show you where to see that. It's on the home page of the Cougar Courses page. In the announcements section, I will post, as we go through the class, as we go through each topic, I will post the exam question for that topic. So there'll be an exam question on the logic of American politics posted in the announcements. There'll be another announcement in that same thread, exam questions, posted on the Constitution, another on federalism, and so on. And so you will have all of the questions in advance. I'm not trying to surprise you with any of the exam questions. On the day of the exam, you will open up the exam, and I'll try and go back and show you this as an example. Cougar Courses Canvas is going to randomly select one of those questions that I've given you in advance, and that will be your exam question. You're not all going to get the same question. It randomizes and it draws one of those questions for each of you, different ones for each of you. Once you see your question, once you open it up, you have 90 minutes to write your exam answer. That is not nearly enough time if you haven't done some preparation ahead of time. If you haven't at least sketched out how you would answer each question. Better yet would be a comprehensive outline for each question, maybe even a complete written answer for each question. If you did that, all you'd have to do is, once you see the exam question that was selected for you, copy and paste what you already wrote and put it in the exam field and submit it, and you're done. If you wait to see the exam question and then try and go back and then watch the lecture and do the reading, there's no way in 90 minutes you'll be able to do all of that and put together a quality exam answer. I see people try, and it never goes well. So the whole point of this is to get you to prepare for all of the questions in advance, and then it doesn't really matter which question you happen to get. If you've done the reading, watched the lectures, and put together a good answer, you'll be fine. If you haven't, if you tried to take a shortcut to any of those things, you'll be not so fine. Okay, I will go over the exam process before the first one comes up and give you a lot of detail about what I'm looking for and that kind of stuff. But that's the basic idea. For each section of the class, we're going to have an online discussion forum, and the discussion forum will be about the reading that goes along with that class. And it'll be, the idea is to connect the stuff we're talking about in the lecture and in the text with some ongoing issue in American politics, some current issue in American politics. You do not all participate in each forum discussion. I will select a small subset of each of you to be involved in the various forum discussions over the course of the class. So, for example, for the first forum discussion on the logic of American politics, I'm probably going to pick somewhere between 3 and 5 of you to be involved in that forum discussion. That's all the people I want to participate in that discussion. You do not need to participate in all the discussions. You only need to participate in the ones to which you have been specifically assigned. And I will post those discussion assignments again in the announcements section. So you really got to be checking those announcements all the time, every day as we go through the class, to see when you're assigned and to get the exam essay questions as well. So if you've been selected for a forum, when that forum is open, and it'll usually be 2 days for each topic, you are to participate in that discussion. And that means answering the question that I ask and going back and forth with each other. I'd like them to be something of a conversation along the lines that we would have if we were doing this live in an in-person class. That's the idea. It's kind of hard to pull that off sometimes because this is asynchronous, so we're not all online at the same time. So there'll be some lag. People will post things, and it might be a while before someone responds. And some conversations will be livelier than others, and that's just how it goes. But that's the idea. So once again, only participate in the forum discussions to which you have been specifically assigned in the announcement section. You do not have to participate in every single forum conversation. When you do participate in those conversations, what I expect is a meaningful, substantive response to the question that I ask, and then an exchange, a back and forth with each other. You don't have to wow me with your brilliance. That's not the point. But the point is to show that you see the connection between the stuff we've talked about and what the prompt in the discussion forum is really all about. So if you just take it seriously and have a good conversation, you'll get full points for your forum participation. The way to not get full points in the forum participation is to A, skip one that you've been assigned, just blow it off. That'd be bad. And then B, not really contribute to the conversation. Post things that show you didn't really understand what was going on or didn't do the reading. Or sometimes people just respond by saying how much they like something that someone else said. Well, that's fine, but that doesn't really advance the conversation. It's not really a contribution. Saying that I really agree with your post, that's not really contributing yourself. Another thing that can really hurt your forum participation is any kind of disrespect or impoliteness or nastiness or arguments. We're going to talk about some pretty controversial stuff in this class. I mean, it's American politics, and we're in a very polarized time in our country. But that doesn't mean that we can't have these conversations in a respectful and civil way. And so please be sure that your discussions are polite and that you're kind to each other. Sometimes there's a tendency to say things in an online forum you wouldn't say to someone's face, and that can lead to problems. So I do not want any of those kinds of problems. Well, I guess I just got into class conduct, so there you go. Academic honesty, we need to talk about this a little bit. I see more plagiarism and more use of AI in my online classes than I do in my regular semester in-person classes. And I think that's partly because we're here online, and so there it is, there's the internet. And I think it's also partly because the time crunch sometimes gets to people. And so rather than preparing an actual answer based on the class material on, for example, why America has a two-party system, what problems that causes, someone will try and Google that or ask AI, ChatGPT, to give an answer to that. And they'll submit that as if it were their own work on the exam or in a forum conversation. And a couple of points about that. One, it's very easy to spot. I've long been able to find material that's been plagiarized from the internet. I can Google as well as you can. And I'm getting a whole lot better at recognizing AI-generated material as opposed to student writing. And so when I come across that stuff, I report it. I have to. You will fail whatever exercise you were doing that in. So if it was an exam, that'll be 100 points gone right there. You'll get a 0 on that exam, which automatically right there makes it very difficult to get a C in the class. You couldn't afford to lose any other points and still get a C in the class. And also, I report it to the Dean of Students. And then they come in and things can get nasty there. If there's a history of that kind of behavior, you could find yourself kicked out of the university. And you don't want that. I don't want that. So please do not plagiarize. Do not use ChatGPT to generate material on this. Do not use stuff from the internet. Make your answers yourself from your own brain based on what we've looked at in class, based on what we've talked about in class. Don't do things like use some other textbook or some other source to answer material. Base your answers from the stuff that is in this class, the lectures that I've recorded, the textbook that you're going to read, the other readings you're going to read. If you find yourself, I think the exams are due, the window closes for the exam about 11:59 p.m. on the day of the exam. If you find yourself at 11:30 and you've had a rough week and you got home late from work and you're feeling all kinds of pressure and you're not going to have time to do an actual exam answer, and you're tempted to find something online to use as your answer, instead of doing that, get out a Canvas, close it out, and just send me an email and tell me what's going on. I'm a pretty reasonable person, if we work this stuff out before you do anything like plagiarize anything, once you've plagiarized, then I really can't be reasonable anymore. Then it's done. There's no room at that point to go back and work things out. So please take this seriously. Again, I see a lot more academic misconduct in these online classes, and I spot it immediately. It's real easy to recognize, and then it just leads to unpleasant conversations and consequences, and nobody wants that. Okay, enough of the nasty stuff. As far as the schedule of the class, here's how it's going to go. On the opening day of the class, December 18th, just a couple weeks as I record this, we will have the only forum discussion in which I want you all to participate. And that is the one where you tell us a little bit about yourself. I think the question asks you to tell us about something interesting about you, a hobby or a passion of yours, and what you think about politics. That's it. Otherwise, on that opening day, you also need to watch the video you're watching right now, so good job, and go over the syllabus, which I'm doing right now, so again, good job. And then we'll get right into it, starting that first day. This is a very fast-paced winter session class, so there's no time to mess around. The first couple of days of the class, the 18th and 19th of December, will be on the opening chapter, The Logic of American Politics. There's a video to watch, a text chapter to read, and then this second thing down here, so you see here on the reading, it says text chapter 1, and then climate change and the prisoner's dilemma. This is the other reading that you'll find on Canvas. And then the forum discussion taking place over those 2 days will be climate change as the ultimate prisoner's dilemma. And so the people that I assign in my announcements to participate in this first forum, those people, those handful of people only, will have this forum discussion. And then the next 2 days, the Constitution, December 20th and 21st, same thing, except this time 2 videos to watch, shorter, broken up into 2 parts. A text chapter, a reading about how democracies die, and then a forum discussion. And so on. December 22nd and 23rd, federalism. We'll have 3 days, December 24th, 26th, and 27th. For those of you who observe Christmas, I'm not assigning anything on that day. We'll get into civil liberties and civil rights. And so again, there's 2 chapters there we're talking about. So 2 chapters, 2 textbook chapters, 2 video lectures to watch, and then 2 additional readings, 2 forum discussions, and then we'll have our first exam on December 28th. So by December 27th, you will have exam questions for all of these topics: the logic of American politics, the Constitution, federalism, civil liberties, and civil rights. So you'll have 5 exam questions. One of those exam questions will be chosen randomly for you, as I described, and you'll take that exam on December 8th. I believe it opens up at 12:01 a.m., so if you're really anxious, you can take it right then and you're done. And it closes on 11:59 p.m. So you have that entire day to do it, and I don't care when you do it, just as long as you do it sometime in there. And then we'll switch gears and talk about the institutions of American politics, Congress, the presidency and the bureaucracy, the courts, same process, chapters, videos, readings, forum discussions on the assigned dates. I've also given you off on New Year's Day. Of course, you're free to do any of this stuff on New Year's Day. And on that point, you can do any of this when you feel like doing it within the parameters of the dates that just assigned. So we've got 3 days here to talk about the presidency and the bureaucracy, December 31st, January 2nd, and 3rd. I don't care if you do those all on the same day, on any of those 3 days, if you space it out over the days. I don't care how you do it. I'll never know how you did it. I just care that you do it, and that you show me on the exams that you did do it. And then the courts, January 4th and 5th, that will lead to our second midterm on January 6th. So by January 5th, you will have 4 exam questions: Congress, presidency, bureaucracy, and courts. And one of those 4 will be randomly selected for you for the second exam. And then we'll close things up in the last week of January that we have class. Talk about political parties and interest groups, the news media and public opinion, and elections. One little wrinkle here is that we're going to have one final forum that has to do with public opinion and the news media and elections. And it's about conspiracy theories and the threat that conspiracy theories pose to American democracy. So that really intersects with all 3 of these topics. So instead of having 3 separate forum conversations at the end, we're going to have one big one about those 3 kinds of things. And then we'll take the final exam on January 13th. Same process. You'll have the questions in advance, randomly selected for you, and that's it. Okay, let's see. I think I said I would do a couple of things. I believe I said I would show you something about how the exams go. So here's the first exam, December 28th. And I don't think this is going to work because I'm in student view, not my own professor view. Let's see what happens. So on December 28th, sometime between 12:01 a.m. and 11:59 p.m., you'll click on this, and it's locked now, so you can't see it. But there will be a button for you to click on, and when you click on it, that will start the exam, and that will reveal the exam question to you. And then there will be a field down here that you can type your answer into. So the clock, the 90-minute clock, will start right when you say go, basically, on the exam. And you will have that 90 minutes to take the exam. At the end of 90 minutes, the window closes, and what you've written is submitted as your exam. So again, the best thing to do is to have it at least a well fleshed out outline for how you would answer the exam question. And if you're really ambitious, write out the whole thing, and you could write it out in a Word document or whatever, and then just copy and paste that language into the text box here and submit it, and you're done. I think that's it. Was there anything else I needed to show you or talk about? I don't think so. If there is, if something's not clear, let me know. The announcements, once I've posted some, will show up right here. That's the other thing I wanted to mention. That's where you see announcements. Again, please be on the ball about keeping track of those. You will see your forum assignments there. You will see the exam questions there. And I will also post other kinds of things there every now and then, just to, if I come across something that's interesting, or I want to give you some feedback on the exams or tell you how the exams are going to go, I'll do that in the announcement. So it's important that you read those all the time. I don't know whether you get an email notification that I've posted an announcement or not, but regardless of whether you do, it's your responsibility to be on top of that. One other thing I think I'll mention, and I skipped over it before, I've got a little Q&A box right here. This is where you can ask questions. The kind of question where if we were in class and class was about to start, and I'd say, if anybody have any questions, or something comes up and you're just wondering about something and it maybe isn't part of the class per se, but maybe it connects to American politics, like, why do we have the Electoral College? What is a filibuster? You can ask those questions here, and I will check this regularly, and I will chime in. And everyone can see these questions. This is not you and me privately messaging. This is a question that everyone can see the answer to, in much the same way that if someone asked a question in the middle of class, hey, why do we have the Electoral College? I would answer it and everyone would hear it. So that's what that's for. I think that's it. I'm reminded again that I need to make sure the lectures for civil liberties and civil rights are visible. It's not visible on here, but it is on my end, so I'll fix that. And otherwise, I think that's how it's going to go. I hope you like the class. I spent a lot of time getting this stuff ready. I love this stuff. I try and make the online class as entertaining as online classes can be, which I know there's a limit there, but I do my best. And really, the class, what you get out of it depends on what you put into it. And that's true individually for what you learn in the class. It's also true in terms of collectively how the forum discussions go. They can be lively and fun, or they can be kind of perfunctory. If everyone's just sort of weighs in and answers the question and says, okay, I've checked that off the box, I can leave now and be done with that. I mean, okay, you'll still be participating in the forum, so fine. But it could also be better than that. It could also involve actual conversation. So I hope it goes that way. All right, let me know if you have any questions, and I look forward to the class.